Hello, thank you so much for tuning in. You are tuned in to The Encourager once again, and my name is Nehru. Want to go ahead and continue our journey through my personal journal covering 2014 to 2017. And thank you so much, everyone who's tuning in, who has subscribed. And I always fail to mention this, but I put my email address in the description section of the video. That email address is theencourager333@gmail.com. Okay. And so let's get started. So I will go back one page and show where we left off. We left off 631, right? And Apostle F. Nolan Ball had recently passed, and let's see, So let's go ahead and turn to the next page and see what was going on in the middle of 2016. Okay, so new prophecy. I don't know why I spelled prophecy like that. Clean slate. All right, and so the woman I was married to at the time, it says that we were in a new place, and that was me releasing the need to control what our marriage looked like, if that makes sense. So I don't have control over her. She did whatever the hell she wanted to, and yeah. So that was another one of those lessons that people do whatever they want to. You can't control anyone except for yourself, not even your spouse. All right, 8/18/16, my shoes, daddy's bones. I'm not sure what that meant, but that sounds really, really interesting. Okay. Apostle Ball, who again had recently passed a month prior. Outside celebration, Dave and Charla are there. Tons of people. Someone mentions Linda, but not Russell. That had to be a dream or some vision or something. It had to be. Regarding Apostle Ball, and again, he's the senior minister, or was the senior minister at the Rock of Panama City in Florida, and he was there for 40-something years. He is the spiritual father to Steve Parker, who is the senior minister at the Rock of Central Florida, where I was sent after 8 years of military service and was there for 20 years before leaving to fully embrace my spiritual journey and get out of religion. Okay. So, was very in tuned to Steve and yeah, very much interested in what the house was doing, its connections, what Most High was doing through the people. I've always been interested in that. So, all right, get over it. Rejoice in the seeds he has sown and their fruit, right? So again, that's speaking to about Apostle Ball, who passed just a month prior. Okay, Quentin and his attorney friend are having twins. Now, here's something that's interesting. So Quentin, I met him when he was 6 months old in 1986. Okay, 1985, right? Because his birthday is in September. And he's 10 years younger than I am. So he was born in 84. 10 years younger than I am. Did I say older? 10 years younger than I am. I don't know. He was born in 84. And growing up, obviously, even despite the age gap, we were pretty close. He was my little buddy, for sure. He was definitely that. And interestingly, right, I had the dream about him and a lady having twins. However, the twins had not been born yet. Today, it's not the attorney friend, but it is his wife, and they have twins today. Okay, and I think they turn 6, maybe, this year. They just had a birthday in February. I think they turned 6, right? They were not even born when I had that vision. Okay, the one girlfriend that I did meet when he lived in Atlanta before he moved to the West Coast, to San Francisco area, was she was studying to be a corporate attorney, actually, right? And so I stayed with him in Atlanta for about 6 months in 2012. That's when I met her. Okay. But that's not the same woman. So yeah, there's another prophetic dream that came to fruition, that manifested, right? And again, it says attorney for, I don't know what his wife does. Maybe she is an attorney, but they do have twins today. All right. All right. So, okay. So here we go. Let's go. Here's a dream. Okay. So Steve and I are watching a live stream of a service held by the people of the Rock. Again, he's the senior minister at the Rock of Central Florida in Sanford, Florida. A few others are there, but I do not recall who. The screen is huge, bigger than the drive-in theater screens. It looks like chaos, but it is so much going on. People slain in the spirit. Some are dancing, some prophesying, some singing. Suddenly, the camera zooms in on Sydney, and she's jumping up and down aggressively. So Sydney is, you've heard me mention Tamara and Archie, okay? And Archie is Sydney's father, and their whole family is a part of the Rock, some of the pillars of the Rock. They don't go by titles anymore. Steve did away with that some years ago, but he's the prophet, if you will, of the house, right? That was his title when they did use titles. Okay. He was the prophet, and he is Sydney's father. Okay. All right. And she's there. She's a professional photographer in real life. Okay. Okay. Let's say, so she's jumping up and down aggressively. Then someone grabs a mic and starts prophesying. And when they get near Anthony Brown was one of their friends. I met Anthony Brown. He's a great singer. He's a good guy. He leaps up from what appeared to be asleep. So he appeared to be sleeping, certainly being still. He jumps on the stage as Steve and I are watching in amazement of the expression and the outpouring of Holy Spirit in the place and the obedience of the people. Anthony grabs the mic and starts prophesying to people. He then singles out Archie, there he is, and tells him something about not being ashamed to express themselves. That's very interesting. To their spouse. Steve says he's just called on this father-in-law. Steve says he just called out his father-in-law. As Anthony is speaking, music and individual expression never ceases. I wake as Steve and I watch on. Okay, so this is very interesting. Again, I will always believe that Steve and I were meant to accomplish more than we accomplished in the 20 years that we were there. So I would say, yeah, that we did not accomplish nearly what we were supposed to accomplish in that time that we were there, that I was there. Most High and another minister, a visiting minister from Rutland, Vermont, told me that Most High searched the earth to join me to Steve in 2003 when I got there. Okay, he literally called me out of the congregation. You, sir, Most High searched the earth to join you to this man. You need to be wherever this man is. And I don't think Steve ever fully embraced that. They used me in every position other than probably where I should have been used. So I was sang on a worship team for a short period of time. I played the drums. I was a greeter. I worked in the sound booth. I was the custodian of the building. So I cleaned the building at one point in time. So I've done all of these things. And yet at the beginning, Steve told Kim that I belonged to him, but he really never utilized me fully, I don't believe. And perhaps, again, some of that's on me. I didn't tell him all of the dreams that I had about the house and people there and all. I didn't tell him all of those things, right? So some of that's on me as well. Okay? I have no problem taking responsibility for my actions. All right. All right. And so, moving on. On 8/12/16, another dream about Jordan and Nijah. Okay, so Jordan is the eldest son of Archie and Tamara. Okay? He is the eldest son, right? He was on a college basketball scholarship. Okay? And I was happy to sow in. They're one of the families that I've sown into, right? Happily so. So Jordan and his wife Nijah, right, are discussing high school credits. Jordan tells Nijah he tried to get credits transferred over to her records because he had so many from volunteering while they were in school. Nijah seems concerned about that, not having enough credits. I'm not sure what that's about. But anyway, that was a dream, something that they were going through. And a lot of times I would share these dreams with the individuals that I had, that was concerning. I would share these dreams with them. Okay. 8/21/16, sons are sown, they don't die. Yahweh, strengthen me, my flesh and spirit, to be the overwhelming, undoubting, victorious son you call me to be every day. I am that today. Okay. I walk alone, and I am that today. Me being a spiritual warrior, assassin, earth angel, all by myself. Something about a meltdown. That might be happening now. The who exactly, I don't know. I have ideas, but the who I don't know. But the when could be right now. Right? The weekend, so this is the weekend that Matthew Hoffman Jr. was sown. And there's also a baby dedication on that particular, or rededication on that day. And Matthew is not my brother Matthew. I have a brother Matthew who passed on 8/4/21. But this particular rainbow child belongs to, you've heard me mention their name, Matt and Kaylee. And again, they're pillars of that house. They're one of the very first families. They're two separate families. They got there when they were teenagers still, and now they're in their late 40s. But probably late 40s. And so, or late 30s, sorry. I didn't mean to age them. late 30s. So, he was sown, right? He was birthed. And then Most High decided that for whatever reason, he was to be a sacrifice. He was to be that. So they've gone through that process, and so has Kim and Steve. Okay, they've both gone through that process of sowing a child that their spouse, their wives had just given birth to. Okay, all right. 8/28/16 at some point. Do today what you can do today. And that's so important. Do today what you can do today. Because again, as always, tomorrow creates anxiety, and yesterday creates what? Depression. Depression. Okay? So, 8/29/16, I had a vision. A person lying on the ground as if dead, holding a scroll in their left hand. I wonder who that is, and I wonder what that means. Were they about to deliver some information? They have some information and they didn't make it? Did they have the truth and they chose not to utilize it, access it, unroll the scroll? Right. 9/25, blood issues. So myself and Steve and Kim's son, Joshua, were both in 2016 dealing with blood issues. He was dealing with, I think, if I believe correctly, it was something associated with blood into his abdomen or something, or abdominal area or something like that. And so for that, he had to actually cut out football. He was definitely on his way to a scholarship. He's an all around athlete, right? He could play any sport he wanted to, really. But then I was on dialysis at this time, right? And so I thought it was significant that both of us were going through this, having this blood issue. Okay. And Matthew Hoffman, right, was sown to cleanse the blood. And I had a dream about who I believe is Matthew Hoffman and how he was a part of healing me. And yeah. And I think I had that dream in 2016, I believe. Maybe we'll see it. All right. Blood alignment is not relevant without the spirit anointing. Blood alignment is not relevant without the spirit anointing. I have only one message for the enemies. That's my message. Back then I didn't use profanity. Today I say fuck you. Right? That's the only message forever that I have for the enemy. Lucifer, Beelzebub, that's the only message. Right there. And stay there. That's the only message I ever have for the enemy. Right? John 3 and 8. Like the wind. I'm not sure what John 3 and 8. Let's see. Crank on the computer here and see what John 3 and 8 says. I hope you're doing well wherever you are when you find yourself listening to this. The purpose of this channel is to help us all become our highest, purest, truest version of ourselves possible. And life helps us with that. Life being divine source. Divine source shows up all sorts of ways. Again, as I say, shows up wearing a different pair of pants or a skirt until we get the lesson. And then the person wearing the pants or skirt changes and it shows up as someone else. Okay, until we get that lesson. And that's literally how it goes, right? And so even throughout your ascensions, you have many ascensions. Okay, I do believe you have one grand one after a dark night of the soul, but they're incremental ascensions. I mean, I don't know how many times I've ascended since the dark night of the soul, more than I can count, right? And I specifically know when those ascensions are happening because of the side effects. Okay? And so whether it be an aching back or aching joints, headaches, I know when I'm going through an ascension process. I don't eat very much when I'm going through an ascension process because my appetite's not there, because I'm so high spiritually that I don't need physical substance. And I know that's how Yeshua got through 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness. If he indeed did not eat during that time, that's how he got through it. Okay. So let's take a look and let's see what John 3 and 8 says. Okay. And while I'm doing that, I'll turn the page to the next page, which is a dream. So let's see here. Computer's running slow. So I'll go ahead and read this dream while the computer's booting up here. All right. So on 9/30/16 at 1:45 a.m., I am on land that has two houses. One has been burned and boarded up. The other has not been burned, but also needs to be built out. Katina tells me to get two separate loans in order to purchase the property. She tells me she's going to Texas. She loves Texas, by the way. She does. And the 3D. Then excuse me. Then she leaves or disappears, and Marcia Guerra shows up. You've heard me mention Marcia's name many times. Marcia is a good friend of mine. I call her my witness. She ascended on 1/28 of 2020. She kicked off COVID. Shows up and tells me she and Ben are also moving to Texas. What's the deal with Texas? She then disappears and my sisters show up. Or sister shows up, Tiffany, okay? So my second eldest sister shows up. She also tells me they are moving to Texas. Wow. Finally, my brother Matthew shows up and says he too is moving to Texas. He has said for years that if he is ever released, he was incarcerated, that's where he's going. I wake up. I remember envisioning, it says down here, I remember envisioning me and my mom growing old in this land while being my only family members in Florida. Interesting. So there are a couple of things in this dream. I haven't read this dream in I don't know how long, right? Maybe since the last time I put it in here, when I wrote it in here, I don't know. The last time, the only time. So I don't know. So I can say this about this dream today, reading it. One, there is property or inheritance that someone has taken from me. It could be a house, could be an account, or who knows, whatever, stocks. It could be anything that someone has stolen from me, right? And again, that's on the sperm donor side of the family. And also on the karmic Scorpios family, right? And so everyone moving to Texas is very interesting. So with the karmic Scorpio, everyone moved from Texas back to Florida. So her mother moved back to Florida. We went there in, I believe, 2020. We went there in 2020 and like July, maybe. Yeah, like July, right? Maybe June in 2020. Went there. And from there, met everyone. I believe there were ill intentions right from the beginning. But met everyone. And literally there was a mass exodus from Texas. Okay? So her mother moved from Texas after we went there. Her sister and her husband and their 2 daughters moved from Texas. She had a brother who moved to Texas shortly before we took a trip there. He moved back to Florida. Okay? She had all these people relocate from Texas back to Florida. Why? I personally believe they were getting ready for something that they thought they were going to get. They were getting ready for something that they thought they were going to get. Or they wanted to make sure that she did not marry me. One or the other. Right? And all of that's too far gone at this point. But it's one of those 2 things. Okay? Either they were coming, they moved close. I've never, ever, ever seen a situation where your family members, adult, married people, they're picking up and they are relocating back to... Why? What were they doing? They were definitely up to something. Okay? So yeah, very interesting. Oh, I'm sorry, the dream continues on the next page. Okay? I also remember, it says dream thoughts continued. I also remember the asking price for the property is $64,600 from a motivated seller. I remember thinking about which house to make the main house and which to make a man cave. All right. That was something Matt Hoffman said. He said, be willing and obedient. Of course. 12:4, Yahweh is the answer. 12:31, You are my champion, and that's what Most High told me. Most High has told me that I was his champion several times, many times, and I was actually, that was actually during a service. Actually, when he told me that, I was at a service at the Rock at that time, right? So this must have been a rare time when I wrote on the opposite page. I'm not sure what that is up there, but normally I don't write messages that Steve or anyone preaches. I wrote that. I write that stuff over here on the right hand side of the page typically. Okay. True love is to love his words. Properly loving allows me to grow properly. I am unconditional love. I am also karma, I am also exposure, and I am also healing. Okay? Let's see. Beyond faith, Apostle Jim's question, and that's Jim Schneider, who was the senior minister at the Rock of, I always say the Rock, at Beth Tome in Rutland, Vermont. Matt and Kaylee, on Matthew being sown, they were speaking. Steve gave them opportunity to share about their journey with sowing their seed, and he was their first son, by the way, Matthew was, and so yeah, he gave them opportunity to sow. In fact, I remember Kaylee saying something that was really funny. She said when it happened, she was like, "What?" She said, "What the hell?" I thought that was pretty funny. Perfecting of the bloodline, okay, and cleansing. See, look at that. I was already back then cleansing the bloodline. I didn't understand there was an Egyptian bloodline, shamanic bloodline, but I understood I was already cleaning the bloodline. That's what my filter was all about, my new kidney filter. Kaylee and Jimmy are of the less than 1%, right, in some way. I'm not sure why I wrote that down. Okay, so we'll do this page and finish up here. It's 27 minutes. 12, 18, 16. What victory looks like. I love your words, Yahweh. From 2003 to 2016, prophetic words told to me from Steve. Everything I have given, everything I have, I give to you. He told me that in 2007. Kim told me everything your father has forfeited is coming to you. She told me that in 2003. Kim also told me I'll stand as a representation of your bride. She told me that, man. Long time ago. 2000. I don't even know. 2000 something. 2000, like maybe 11 or something. It was a while ago, maybe even before that. But I've mentioned how Kim and I we connected. I would say through synchronicities and things of that nature. So one of the last things I gave Kim was, and we were so into each other. The Rock did what they spoke about as the trading floor. Okay, and this trading floor is a spiritual thing, but we freely would trade into one another, whatever that was that we were led to trade into them, right? So there's a lady at the Rock whose name is Shonda, okay, and Shonda suffers from diabetes, and wait, is it diabetes? No. Is it diabetes? No, I don't think it's diabetes. Maybe it is. Maybe it is diabetes. Maybe it is. She's a nurse, but I think it is diabetes. I was also thinking Crohn's disease, but it might be diabetes. Anyway, man, I wish I knew I don't know. Anyway, Shonda, she has, and they're a wonderful family. They're great. Her and her husband, Tim, I call him Boppy, right? he's a when he became a father. And she's sewn into me money for healing, right? So she's giving me physical money, but as a currency to trade into me for healing, right? She's done that. And I have, in fact, let me show you in this journal. This is my other journal that I'm currently using, which is about done as well. I will show you in this journal that I put, this isn't the first time. She actually has sewn into, I want to say on 2 different occasions, but this particular one, I think I put in this journal. Let's see. Let's see. Thank you for bearing with me as I looked for this. I know it's in here somewhere because that's me. That's what I do. Let's see. Maybe I'm not going to find it. I know it's in here. Oh, here it is. Okay. Thank you, Most High. All right. So here it is, right? And this dollar represents, see, and I put a name. Okay. All right. So, so the last thing, or one of the last things, if not the last time that I sold into Kim directly, 2 things. One, I gave her a journal. And the journal says on the front of it, it says, "Are we there yet?" Then I gave also, I was sitting in service and I had a couple dollars in my pocket. And Most High said, into your pocket, right? And sow whatever you have into your pocket, give that to Kim. So I did. Ironically, nothing's a coincidence. Ironically, I didn't know how much money it was, right? It was $44. Right now, as I record this, I have 44 subscribers on this channel, right? She told me that 44 was significant. She said it's going to be a standout. She said it's going to be a standout event that represents this 44 and the seed you're sowing into me. She said it also is confirmation for me in regards to something that I was asking Most High for. She didn't say Most High. She probably said Yahweh, right? And so I gave her that $44. That was the money that I had in my pocket. Okay, 44 is extremely significant, as we know, as an angel number, as a confirmation, angelic communication, and what that means, right? She told me it's going to be very evident. I met the karmic Scorpio when we were both 44 years old. Yeah. That type of synchronicity. So thank you so much, as always, for listening to me babble on about the dreams and visions and things that have come to pass, things that are still yet to happen and be manifested in this 3D from the 5D. Thank you. Right? I appreciate you tuning in, you subscribing, you liking the post or video, not the post, liking the video or what have you. Okay. As always, be encouraged. My name is Nehru, and this is The Encourager.